Hello and welcome to another video. In this one, I'm going to be sharing my favorite movies from 2024. This is a list that has been very much a challenge for me, as my top 5 or so were pretty easy, but my bottom half of my list was really tough because we had a lot of really great movies that were really vying for those final spots in the top 10 list of that kind of 6 through 10 range. So I'm going to give some honorable mentions, but without further ado, let's get ready. Let's jump in. So, kicking things off in respect of time for my list with some honorable mentions, we have Monkey Man, Self-Reliance, Inside Out, Wicked, The Greatest Hits, The Beekeeper, and Caddo Lake. All of those movies I gave a 4 out of 5 stars, and those would be 17 through 11 on my list. So it was a really packed year for just great movies, and then moving into the top of my list, there's just the ones that kind of just took a extra step, went the extra mile, and did a little bit more for me overall. So first, kicking off the 10th slot, we have the anime film Look Back. This is a movie that I had seen on a number of other top 10 lists, so I wanted to give it a chance before wrapping up my top 10 for the year, and I'm glad I did because obviously it cracked the list. As soon as I started this movie, I could not take my eyes off the screen from every single frame. It was just beautiful to take in each and every piece and element and detail that was included in this movie. Not only that, but we also get a really impactful story with a couple of main characters in Fujimo and Kiyomoto. Both of them were really great. They're these two girls who are having this passionate love for manga, and the two of them meet and start writing manga together. There's a lot more to the story than that, but that's kind of where the setup is for it, and it goes on a really, really unexpected journey of them kind of going through the creative process and its ups and downs, the challenges that come with it, of writing and releasing a manga. And that's really cool kind of look at that industry and what it takes to do that kind of art. And then besides that, it focuses on the highs and lows of life, the different challenges they come up against, and there's a lot of really unexpected twists and turns along the way, and all of that was packed into an hour. I could have easily watched a feature-length version of this story, but I love that this kind of was wrapped in a bow of this 1 hour long, just really powerful, really impactful movie. So Look Back, it comes in at my 10th slot. Next, in the 9th slot, we have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This is one that I was initially hesitant to when it was first announced and the project was starting to get worked on, but it sets up a really exciting new direction for the series. I ended up coming out really liking it. Obviously, it's on my top 10 list for the year. I quickly felt very invested in these new characters and the journey that they were going on. Noah and Nova, in particular, being the main characters for this one. I thought their dynamic and their relationship for this movie was really good and really interesting. And then even where it leaves off at the end of this one, I won't spoil anything here if you haven't had a chance to see the movie yet, but it's a really good stepping off point for what's still to come. So I'm really looking forward to the future of this new story that's being told within this world. On top of that, the action and visual effects were absolutely incredible. They're pretty much on the same level of, if not have surpassed at this point, the previous entries in the series with the Planet of the Apes trilogy, including Andy Serkis. I thought visually the movie looked fantastic. And then, like I said, it's a really good stepping off point. So it makes me really excited for the future of the series and the franchise. So I think it's really cool that we're continuing, but we're far enough removed that we can introduce all these new characters and have it still feel like the same thing and the legacy of that story that was told, but we're going in a new direction with new characters. It has me excited for what's still to come. So that comes in at the number 9 slot. Next, in the number 8 slot for me, we have Gladiator II. This was another one that was, in my opinion, an unnecessary sequel, one that we didn't really need, but I ended up really liking it. I had a really great time with it. Though the beginning was a bit familiar to the original, it definitely blazes its own path. It kind of makes a nice companion piece to the first one as a follow-up and a continuation of that story with a couple of carryover characters, but a lot of new ones at the same time. It is filled with many standout performances throughout. Denzel Washington and Joseph Quinn being the top most noticeable and recognizable for me, but also Paul Mescal and Pedro Pascal give really great performances as well. The 4 of them together in this movie are absolutely fantastic. I thought all of the different scenes that each of them kind of shared with each other, whether it was a more dramatic scene or more action-packed scene, all of it was really good, really impactful. Denzel Washington definitely being one of the top performances in this one. Obviously, it's Denzel Washington, but really thought that was great. Like I said, the action was really impactful. It had a lot of meaning, both within the movie, but also just the entertainment value that it has as the movie. And then Harry Gregson Williams crafts a beautiful score for this one that kind of shows its own originality while at the same time paying homage to the original Hans Zimmer score that we got back with the original Gladiator movie. So I really appreciated the musical score here for this one. And then the plot, it feels weird criticizing a movie in my top 10 list, but I kind of want to show, what kept it from just moving up a little bit more. The plot can be a little bit back and forth at times with like dialogue and action of just dialogue, action, dialogue, action, dialogue, action. But it was a nice surprise overall, a movie that I wasn't sure I would like and appreciate, but ended up coming out really positive on and really enjoying. I'm really looking forward to revisiting this one again in the future, especially as like a companion piece to the first Gladiator film. And then the final unexpected sequel for this one, in the number 7 slot, we have Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. This one's kind of not necessarily criminally underappreciated from this year, but definitely an underrated one in my opinion. I thought that this one was a really great surprise, kind of continuation and expansion on the Mad Max Fury Road film. The performances across the board are solid. The standout is obviously Chris Hemsworth here. He's having such a great time, you can tell, through this performance, playing a more antagonistic, villainistic type role against Anya Taylor-Joy and a number of other characters in this one. It's such a diversion from his MCU work that he's become most known for, so it's a really cool kind of different look at his character, or the types of characters that he can play as an actor. I thought the story was a little more significant in this one. The story's minimal in Mad Max Fury Road, not to say this one's better. It adds some more world building and lore in this one that we didn't get in the first one, that I did appreciate having now to kind of add to the overall context of the Fury Road film. The action is outstanding, boasting some of the best sequences that I've seen this year. There's a 13-minute extended action sequence that I thought was really great and really fantastic. It's no Fury Road, but I do love that we're spending more time in this world and more time with some of the characters, and it gave me a new appreciation that I can add on to now Mad Max Fury Road as well. So that comes in at the number 7th slot for me. Next, in number 6, another one that kind of shook up my top 10 list, as I just checked this one out last week because it was on a number of other people's top 10 lists. We have the Music by John Williams film. This one is a documentary. It's the only documentary on my list. I don't usually get a chance to check out as many documentaries as I would like, but this is one I made a point for because I absolutely am a huge supporter of film score and film soundtracks and appreciator of those things, and I wanted to give this one a watch because I love John Williams and his music. And this film just showcases and kind of wraps it in a bow perfectly. The documentary in itself isn't the most groundbreaking thing out there. There's nothing highly unique about it, but it just showcases the life of someone who is so well known, so well respected, so iconic. His music just penetrates through our society and our love for pop culture and different movies and franchises and stuff like that, unlike anything else that's out there and anyone else that's out there. The impact of John Williams' music cannot be overstated, and the film just showcases that beautifully. There's multiple times where I was moved to tears while checking this movie out, and some of that was through, just hearing the music again and the emotional impact that has, but also just hearing the testimonies and the impact that the music has had on other people as well in the different interviews really, really got to me and really had an impact on me as well. One of my favorite quotes from the film, it's also in the trailer, is from John Williams that says, "Music is enough for a lifetime, but a lifetime is not enough for music." And he and his life and his legacy that he's leaving behind eventually will be a perfect testimony of that. So that takes the number 6 slot for me. Next, in number 5, we have Civil War, Kaylee Spaney's first entry on my top 10 list here. We have in Civil War one of the most visceral movie experiences I've had in a while. This movie builds a relentless tension throughout, especially once it reaches a climax with one of the most intense edge-of-my-seat sequences I've seen this year. Kirsten Dunst gives a great performance, but as I mentioned, Kaylee Spaney is the standout. She carries her character so well and makes it so easy to empathize with her and root for her. And while there's an abundance of action in this one, it's very much kind of a character piece at the same time and an exploration of what these types of events, the effects that they have on different people. And Kaylee Spaney is the perfect kind of insertion point for our audience and us into that movie. Like I said, there's not an abundance of action in this one, but when it does show up, it's absolutely brutal and really intense. So I really respected that aspect of the movie as well. It's a very thought-provoking one. The ending and the final moments will leave the viewer with a lot to think about and a lot to consider as the credits roll. Definitely one of my favorite movie experiences from this year. So that takes the number 5 slot. Next, moving into slot number 4, we have The Fall Guy. I've been a big fan of David Leitch ever since John Wick, and this might be my favorite film from him now. The performances include great chemistry from Gosling and Blunt's characters. They do a really good job in this one. There's so many fun, quirky, entertaining moments throughout the movie, and it's a really good reminder as well of how good Winston Duke is. I kind of forget how good he is sometimes, and then he pops up in a movie like this, and it's like, man, I really like him as an actor too. So I definitely need to check out more films from him as well. 87 North, the stunt production company behind this one, continues to knock it out of the park with some of the best action and stunt work being done today. And I enjoyed kind of the meta angle that they used as well with this one, where 87 North being the stunt company for the movie that they're making within the movie. So I had a lot of fun with that kind of meta angle as well. It's a really good balance overall with action and romance. In my opinion, it's a perfect date movie. It has a little bit in there for your guy and your girl at the same time. So that takes the number 4 slot. Next, in the top 3, Kaylee Spaney returns to my top 10 list, and Alien Romulus. Alien Romulus was everything I hoped it would be. It's a very well written, very well paced film. You get enough time to feel invested in the characters, and then you roll into things, and it just builds tension, and that tension builds until a breaking point where it's just thrills until the credits roll. Kaylee Spaney and Johnson are really the standouts performance-wise in this one. Their chemistry and character work together is really great in this sibling type relationship that they have. And on top of that, we get really great production work. It's amazing practical effects, amazing prop work, amazing creature effects works, costume design. It's on another level in a type of movie that we don't get to see very often these days. Thematically, too, it's a really good mix of action and horror to kind of pay homage to previous Alien franchise entries. I think most notably Alien and Aliens, as it's kind of most tied between, since it takes place between the two of those films. But it does a really good job kind of balancing all those different interpretations of this world that we've had so far and paying homage to them while also kind of blazing its own trail as well. So Alien Romulus takes the 3rd slot. Next, in the 2nd slot, we have The Wild Robot, a movie I continue to praise and recommend to everyone I get a chance to. One of the most powerful and impactful movies for me this year. This is one that was not on my radar at all. Then the early buzz started coming out for it of how good it was. I got my hopes up really high, and I was really hyped going in, and this is another one that was everything I wanted it to be. And even more, I came out of this movie crying through probably most of the second half. It's amazing, powerful storytelling about parenthood, childhood, and the dynamic between those two types of relationships. It's a very family-centric film, and I love the way that it focused on those themes. It encompasses a lot of different seasons of life and different ways that those are experienced throughout, whether it is through a more parental figure role or through the child. So it's really impactful in that way and does a really good job balancing for both of those types of audiences and viewers. And the animation is incredible. It's a really cool, really unique type hand-painted 3D type style to it that I really enjoyed and really appreciated. And all of that just comes together for what's like a masterpiece of a film. I think this is the one that I gave a perfect score of a 10 out of 10, and that takes the number 2 slot for me. And then finally in the number 1 slot, we have Dune Part 2. This is one I've been singing the praises of all year long. I absolutely love Denis Villeneuve's filmography, and especially these Dune movies so far have been kind of his magnum opus. And I love everything that we've gotten in this movie to kind of pay off and really satisfy everything that the first film set up. It's another one that does a fantastic job really immersing you in the world and kind of just sweeping you off your feet and taking you away to this place that you just love and enjoy spending time in. You feel immersed in the characters, the cultures that are explored throughout this movie, the different themes throughout the story, and the different backgrounds that these characters have and have experienced are also well done and explored. There's so many different characters, but each one kind of gets their moment to shine, and it's just just passionate, fantastic work all around. I love the action sequences, the dramatic sequences, the way that this movie does not shy away from its more darker undertones and themes, especially with the Paul Atreides kind of main character protagonist and the more gray areas that his character is in. It doesn't shy away from those, and I really appreciated that kind of original adaptation into this movie from the book at the same time. So definitely my personal favorite movie from this year, and one that I'm easily going to put at the number 1 slot. It's another 10 out of 10 for me. So Dune Part 2. So that wraps up my list of my top 10 favorite movies from this year with some honorable mentions. Please join me in the comments down below with some of your favorite films from this year. I'd love to hear your recommendations and suggestions, because I haven't had a chance to see everything, so I'm sure there's stuff that might end up on your list or other people's lists that I just have not had a time to check out yet. But this is just a snapshot in time of my 10 favorite movies with some honorable mentions at this point in time. So thank you for checking out this video. Thank you for sticking around to the end. I will see you in the next one.